consortia to respond to topic, to respond to this challenge, to create then initiative that will foster open collaboration in public-private consortia based on data sharing, dissemination of the results, and where participation of industry partners is in kind, meaning really indeed people, human resources, the brains of the industry working with the best brain from the public sector. This is also clearly reflected in the structure of the IMI2 budget, which included half of budget that is funding, EU funding, that is dedicated to all eligible beneficiary, as will be explained later, for example, universities, small, medium-sized enterprise, mid-sized companies, patient group, and so on. But most importantly, also resources and stakeholders that contribute resources, which are, first of all, the industry member of the FP organization, but also associated partners like, for example, charity or non-pharmaceutical companies. The activity of IMI2 are covered by the strategic research agenda that is aligned with the WHO priorities. And from the strategic research agenda are derived the core topics, which are elaborated by the strategic governing group of IMI, and then are reflected in the annual work plan. And then they get also compulsory consulted by the member of the Associated State for the Scientific Committee before being approved by the IMI governing board. Once the topic has been approved, IMI will launch a call that then will be proposals will be submitted, evaluated, and eventually there will be a grant award to which will follow the project implementation, which will be allowed by a signature of a consortium agreement between the all members of the consortium, the public and the private, and a grant agreement signed between the consortium and IMI, and then followed by the start of the project with the implementation of its activity, which are followed by a periodic reporting and final report. So, but what does a typical IMI project look like? So, as said before, the topics are enabled by alignment of industrial partner or also associated partners around a real challenge where they all agree to collaborate and to commit resources. To really be able to tackle these challenges, it's necessary that new ideas from public sector, university, SME are submitted in order to create a project. And clearly, a scale is a key to success for this challenge to be tackled successfully, and is provided by the IMI funding, aligned and leveraged with the resources of the industry partner. And it is also important that the project is such that its outcome will be transformative for the industry, as well as having a clear public value. A typical IMI consortium will be then created by the joining of a consortium that is selected via the competitive process, which will be formed by different stakeholders, for example, academia, hospital, patient organization, regulator, small and medium-sized enterprise, independent mid-sized company, as relevant and as is defined in the topic, with the FPI and possibly associated partner that contribute to the project. And also eventually the consortium that will be created by each and one topic will become a part of the big IMI international cross-sector community, which as in this figure from June 2016, so they are already obsolete, but we have many calls that come up and create new projects all the time, already include more than 9,000 researchers, which are all working together in a spirit of open collaboration to try to improve R&D productivity and also to develop innovative approaches for unmet medical needs. So, but now this is an introduction for the 10th call of IMI2, which include 8 topics, going from diabetes to patient perspective to also pediatric and networks. And I will not, you can read the topic here, and you will read, of course, all detail in the topic text that is available. It has been launched on the 21st of December. The call and document are published in a link via the IMI website and the participant portal. The deadline for the short proposal is the 28th of March 2017 at 5 p.m. Brussels time. And then the full proposal will have to be prepared and submitted by the 14th of December 2017, again at 5 p.m. Brussels time. This webinar presentation and also the recording will be available at the link that is shown here on this slide. For the first time now in IMI, the submission will be done using the electronic submission service of Horizon 2020 participant portal at the link that is shown on the slides. And it's very important that the applicant, in order to be able to access the portal and submit a proposal, they have to have an EU login account, what was called first before the ECAS account, and they have also to have their organization registered on the participant portal beneficiary register with a 9-digit participant identification code, the PIC code, that will be provided once they are registered. If you don't have this EU login, you can create it using the participant portal. And more information is available at the link as indicated on this slide. One thing that I would like also to you pay a particular attention is the fact that at stage 1 evaluation, there will be already an evaluation of the budget that is requested, and this is done under the FAIR criterion, quality and efficiency of the implementation, and therefore applicants are already requested at this stage to provide at least a provisionally breakdown of cost, and not only overall amount as was previously the case, by filling the budget table that will be available in the Part A of the proposal template.
Thank you, Elisabetta. So let's have a look now to what are the rules for participation in this IMI2 10th call for proposal. For those who are familiar with IMI, you probably already know that IMI2 is fully subject to the H2020 rule of participation, and since it's fully integrated in the H2020 framework program. As such, the rule of participation fully applies to all IMI2 calls. However, the legislator from the very start foresaw 2 specific derogations in relation to IMI2, and this concern the eligibility for funding and the IP rules, intellectual property provision. So let's have a look step by step. Let's try to look what are the specific conditions of this 10th call for proposal. The conditions for this call are listed at the end of your call topic text that is available on our website and is available on the participant portal. And those conditions reflect the general condition of the call, which are included in the 2016 annual work plan of the IMI2GU. This condition has been adapted in this call according to the specificity of the specific call, or the specific topic of call 10. So as a general rule, the minimum condition for participation, since all action foreseen under this topic are research and innovation action, there must be at least 3 independent legal entities established in 3 different EU member states or associated countries. At this point, it's probably useful to alert all of you that as of January 1st this year, 2017, Switzerland is now fully associated to H2020, and as such, Swiss organizations are indeed eligible for funding and also counted a minimum number of 3. Then this call is a 2-stage call, 2-stage evaluation, with the stage 1 for the submission of short proposal, where normally these consortia are composed by applicants requesting funding, and only the first ranked applicant consortia under each topic will be invited to submit a full proposal at stage 2 merging together with the industry predefined consortia in the call topic text. You will see that under each and every topic of this call, in the industry consortium is identified, which is composed by several FPA or associated FPA company or associated partners which are willing to contribute under that specific topic. The evaluation criteria, as Elizabeth already mentioned, will be fully assessed at stage 1, not only so at stage 2, but at stage 1 we already assess excellence, impact, and implementation, quality of the implementation. Please be aware that under IMI2, short proposal page limit is 30 pages, while full proposal page limit is 70 pages. Here again, Elizabeth already mentioned, for this case of this call, is the first time that IMI will rely on the electronic submission service of H2020, so not any more submission of short proposal and full proposal in the Sophia IT tool, which was the IT tool developed by IMI. So if you intend to submit an application for this call, please follow the instruction already presented by Elisabetta in order to obtain a login and encode your proposal directly in the electronic submission tool of H2020. The submission deadline are already been indicated and are mentioned in the call topic text. Concerning the contribution, indicative contribution, the IMI2 contribution again is indicated under each and every topic of this call, and you have to understand that there is a maximum IMI2 contribution, which is the funding allocated or can be requested by the beneficiary receiving funding, and this is indicated together with an estimated in-kind contribution from the industry consortia. So this amount of funding won't be given to the beneficiary receiving funding, but is just provided, is a contribution provided by the company into the project. You should also be aware that during the evaluation process, applicants consortia may be invited to hearing. In particular, at stage 1, the panel of experts can decide to invite for an hearing some of the consortium who has applied for the call. This will be notified in due time to the consortium, and the notification will be done through the contact detail provided in your application, so please make sure that the contact details are properly indicated and they are correct and you are able to be reached out in case of need. It's important also that you familiarize with all the elements which are required in the call topic text. For instance, the exploitation and dissemination plan, a data management plan, which are a relevant element for the proposal, for the submission of your proposal, for the evaluation of your proposal, but as also as relevant for the project implementation in case your proposal will be selected. I already mentioned that this is a two-stage evaluation process. Therefore, stage 1, short proposal, and at stage 2, the selected, the first rank consortia selected stage 1 will be merged with the pre-identified industry consortium. And the last point is about the outcome for the evaluation. You will receive time to grant is 8 months from the submission deadline, and the applicant will receive information on the outcome of the scientific evaluation within 5 months from the submission deadline. But let's see who can apply to this call for proposal. IMI2 as H2020 is an open program. Anyone can participate, provided that they're carrying out activity relevant to the call objective and in line with the IMI2 objectives. But that doesn't mean that even if everybody can participate, it doesn't mean that everybody can receive funding. As I mentioned earlier, the legislator foreseen one of the main derogations, one of the two main derogations from the H2020 rule for participation in relation to the IMI2 is the eligibility for funding. And this means that only a certain type of organization will be fundable for an IMI. These are academic institutions, small and medium enterprise, non-profit organizations, such as research organization, patient organization, public bodies, NGOs, etc., and also mid-sized company, what we normally define mid-sized company, which are independent legal entity having an annual turnover up to 500 million euros, which means by law are excluded by funding big enterprise, big industry company, which have an annual turnover of more than 500 million euros. This type of organization, however, must be established in one of the EU member states or in associated country to the H2020. Here again, Switzerland, as of 1st of January this year, is fully associated and as such eligible for funding. As a conclusion, from these, third-country organizations are in principle not eligible for funding. However, the IMI could accept third-country organizations to be eligible for funding if this is proved to be essential in order to implement the action. And this essentiality is subject to a sort of restrictive interpretation and should be assessed by the panel of evaluators. Thus, in case you plan to involve third-country organizations, make sure that in your proposal you clearly indicate why this third-country organization should be involved, must be involved, and this can be because this third-country organization either give access to specific expertise or specific data or a specific know-how. So this, as I said, this is a subject restrictive interpretation and should be very, very well justified in your application. Then stage one, what we expect, what type of a consortium we expect at stage one. As I said, an IMI fundable legal entity, meaning an organization which fall within the eligibility criteria, funding eligibility criteria, and any additional legal entity which would carry out relevant activity for the project. While at stage two, the full proposal will be submitted by one full consortium, which will be composed by the first ranked the consortium which was first ranked under stage one, together with a predefined industry consortium associated to that specific topic. The only difference here, it might be important to stress that under topic 3, the main topic, you will see that the topic is composed by 3 subtopics, which means that under each subtopic, we will have one first-ranked consortium, which then will merge, together these three consortiums, and they will be joined by the industry consortium, which is identified for this specific topic. About the funding, so IMI is a public-private partnership, and as such, its actions are normally co-funded. They are co-funded by the IMI2 with financial resources from the H2020 framework program, and these resources, as I said, are allocated to beneficiaries receiving funding. At the same time, the same action will count on an in-kind or cash contribution from the beneficiary not receiving funding, which are normally FPA constituents or affiliates or IMI associated partners. These two types of organizations are those who compose what I mentioned earlier, the pre-identified industry consortium, which is associated to one of the topics of this call. The public funding will be used to reimburse the costs incurred by beneficiaries receiving funding in the implementation of the action. For this call, the reimbursement rate is 100% of your eligible costs. So direct costs are reimbursed 100%, to which you will also receive, if you are successful, and a flat rate of 25% of your direct costs to cover your indirect costs. The funding is used to cover direct costs, as I said, can be personal costs, equipment, consumables, subcontracting. And under IMI2, it's also a possibility that beneficiary receiving funding can receive financial contribution from the FPA member of the consortium or associated partner. This normally happens when the industrial partner or the associated partner prefer to transfer the financial resources to one of the beneficiaries receiving funding in order to carry out some specific activity, which are project activities. So these are activity of the project, which instead of being implemented by the industrial partner, are transferred to the beneficiary receiving funding, and for this reason, the industrial partner will support the cost of the implementation of this activity. A common example is the industrial partner prefer a university to hire a postdoc to carry out a specific task, and the cost of the contract of the postdoc will be fully reimbursed by the industrial partner. As I said, so I just mentioned the public fund, and now let's see with the contribution from the industrial partner. Industrial partner normally contribute in kind, which means they normally contribute with the cost they incur in the implementation of the action. This can consist of equipment, laboratory, FTE rate, which is the staff working on the project, but can also contribute in a financial contribution, as just mentioned. What is important to know is that these contributions are not reported to the IMI through the normal flow of the financial report as beneficiary receiving funding, but they are reported outside the grant agreement once a year directly to the IMI2, which means that the financial reporting of beneficiary not receiving funding, which are members of FPIA or are associated partners to the IMI2 will be done directly to the IMI2 without the involvement of the coordinator. And here, just to better understand this concept, you will see that the deadline for reporting an IMI project is normally, you have a reporting periodicity of 12 months, as indicated in your grant agreement. The scientific reporting will happen according to this 12-month reporting periodicity for all participants, including the beneficiary receiving funding and not receiving funding, while the same periodicity is followed for the financial reporting of the beneficiary receiving funding. While the beneficiary not receiving funding, which are FPIA company or associated partner, they will only report once a year by January 31st each year, reporting the cost incurred in all project participation they had in the previous year. Let's now go and have a look to the second main derogation, maybe the most important derogation in from the rules of participation for IMI2. This is done in order to accommodate specific needs of the IMI2 program, and in particular reflect what was already done under IMI1, which already allowed an unprecedented level of sharing and was essential for its success. We consider that it allows a high degree of flexibility, at the same time allow collaboration under competitive conditions. This policy addresses and protects the interests of all different parties involved in the IMI action, but this is done having in mind the main IMI objective, which is to ensure a rapid uptake of newly developed technologies, methods, and standards into industry and regulatory practice. It's important to stress that this is a minimal provision which cannot be restricted or put aside. However, with the agreement of the full consortium, this minimum provision can be expanded, so additional access grant could be granted. Background and result are two of the main concepts of this policy, and they are fully aligned in IMI2 with the H2020. Background is defined of any type of information, protected or not protected, tangible or not tangible, which are held by the beneficiary before accessing the grant agreement, that are needed for the project implementation and have been identified and agreed by the beneficiaries. So as I said, they must be identified, which means because they will be used during your project implementation in order to achieve the project objective. Sometimes the question is, should we identify background which will only be used by the same owner, by the same participant? The answer is yes, because you cannot anticipate at the start of the project what will be the implication later on. It might be necessary that this background will be shared with our other beneficiary in order to use the result of the same project. Another important concept is the result. Result is the outcome of your project, but the outcome of the project according to its objectives. And this is very important in order to differentiate result with side ground, which is absolutely excluded from the IMI2 policy. The result, as I said, is any output of the project which fall within the project objective. Any output of the project which is fall outside the project objective is defined side ground, and as such side ground, the IMI policy, IP policy does not attach any obligation in relation to the side ground. So as you can understand, it's very important that when you draft your project objective, you pay attention to this, because it can be critical in order to identify what is result and what is the side ground. I also would like to stress that sometimes in the past there have been a lot of misunderstanding in relation to the participation to IMI2 project, in relation to ownership. Irrespective to, I mean, if you participate in an IMI project, you will remain the owner of your background, and you will be the owner of the result you will generate. Participation in IMI2 project does not affect ownership. However, as part of your contractual freedom, you are free to license, to transfer, to do whatever you feel necessary with your IP. You can transfer, provided you respect the obligations that are stemming from this IP policy once you decide to participate in an IMI2 project. And in relation to this, it's also important to stress, and this is a general concept which comes from H2020, is about joint ownership. We normally stress the need, at the time you will draft your consortium agreement, to already identify the main principle on joint ownership. Joint ownership is when some results are jointly generated by several beneficiaries, which means that all of them have some right on a specific result generated to the project. In order to avoid problems during project implementation, it's always advisable at the time of preparation of your consortium agreement to already pre-identify some key principles in relation to how to disciplinate, how to regulate joint ownership in case it occurs. Because if you wait that this joint ownership happen, it might be too late or too complicated to at that time decide how to regulate joint ownership. So what we normally suggest is that you already foreseen from the start the main principle how to deal with joint ownership. For instance, who will pay for protection, who will how to allocate royalties, etc., etc. And here we come to the main point. I would say the main point of the IMI2 IP policy is the distinction between research use and direct exploitation. These two concepts belong to the more general exploitation of result, which is under H2020 is not, there is no this distinction, but under IMI2 this distinction is very important. Here we are beyond the project implementation, because here we talk about research use and direct exploitation of result, meaning that we are not dealing with the completion of the action, but we are talking about what can be done with the result generated under your project beyond the scope of the project. We talk about research use when it's a very broad scope, it's a very broad definition, which includes any activity for which your result can be used in a research activity. And it is differentiated by direct exploitation, because direct exploitation talk about commercialization or development for commercialization. The case study, I mean, the very simple example we normally use to distinguish these two phases is the output of your project, the result of your project is a biomarker. As far as you use your biomarker to do further research, for instance, in a clinical trial to validate a drug candidate, to verify its efficacy and safety, this we would define it as research use. While if you're taking this biomarker and is included in a diagnostic kit, which is then commercialized, we are talking about commercialization of a product, and as such is a completely different type of access right. And to understand why we are making such a distinction, you can see on this table the different type of rights and the condition associated to it. When we talk about completion of the action, any activity, any right must be granted royalty-free. So no one can ask any royalty for giving access to background to result in order to implement the action. While if we are talking about research use, what I just said, so in our example, to use our biomarker to validate a drug candidate in a clinical trial, this must be granted at a very reasonable term to beneficiary and affiliated. While if you look at the very bottom of the slide, you will see that for direct exploitation, so in the case of in our biomarker, the diagnostic kit, this is to be negotiated. So the IMI IP policy does not grant a specific preferential right for granting such access right. This has to be negotiated by the party as they see fit. On the very right side of the slide, you also see that site grant is not applicable. As I said, these fall outside the scope of the IMI2 IP policy, and as such, this can be decided and negotiated as the participants see fit. Last point on the access right is important to stress that access right to your result or to the background necessary to use your result can also be requested and must be granted to third parties, and this happens only after the end of the project. So third party have the right to request access right to result to background necessary to use the result only after the end of the action, and within the time limit that the participant must have agreed at the time of preparation of the consortium agreement. What does it mean? It means that when you're working on your consortium agreement, you will also identify for how long any third party could could request to receive access right to a given result. Obviously, this is done ahead of time, so you cannot know exactly what type of result you will have, but you should consider, according to the type of action, the potential result you may achieve to identify a certain time duration along which this third party could request access. Please pay attention that it's not how long the third party may use the result, it's just for how long they could request access after the project ends. And since, by definition, third party are not part of your consortium agreement, we expect that you give sufficient information, visibility to these time limits as of the start of your project. Here, the main document of reference for the IP section, so the rules of participation, the IMI2 delegated regulation, where all these derogations are included, so the very specific derogation of the IMI2 IP policy are listed, and then the IMI2 model grant agreement. I give the floor to Elisabetta for some tips on the call process.
Okay, so here on the slide you see what is the typical IMI project life cycle of this. So it's a two-stage process, as you said, and now we are at the starting of the stage one part of the life cycle. So the topic has been defined, has been published, and now you are invited to provide your short proposal to address each topic that you decide to address, with the caveat, please, for the topic 3, that applicants should address one subtopic at a time. So in the sense that if you are interested to apply to more than one subtopic, then you should submit separate application. So this is very, very important, okay? And also pay attention that each subtopic has its own independent IMI2 budget. Then the proposal will be evaluated by a peer evaluation with a panel of experts, and they will be ranked. And the first ranked short proposal and attached consortium will be invited for joining forces with the industry and associated partners that are linked to that topic to which the proposal has been submitted, to prepare a full proposal. This full proposal will then be evaluated again for a go, no-go decision by an evaluator panel, and if everything goes well, then it will be approved. We will do the granting and the finalization of all the agreement and administrative and financial information, and then the funding will be released and the project will be launched. How does the evaluation work? Is the same as in Horizon 2020. So we have 3 standard criteria: excellence, impact, and quality efficiency of the implementation. As already said several times, this is a 2-stage evaluation, and all 3 criteria are considered as both stages. And there is threshold and weighting, which are clearly identified in the code document, and each short proposal will be evaluated by a minimum of 3 independent experts, but actually normally we have many more because of the complexity and multidisciplinarity aspect that are in all our topics. Very important is that each proposal is evaluated as it is and not what could be. So it's extremely important that you write carefully your short proposal. The first evaluation criteria is the excellence criteria, and the evaluator will look at several aspects of excellence as indicated in this slide. I will not read this, but you can, of course, read them carefully and consider when you write your short proposal that you address all these points, because the evaluator will look at them. Very important is also the second criterion, that is the impact. Often is really this criteria might make the breaking point and decide if your proposal will be the first or the second ranked, maybe. So it's very important that you carefully consider all these aspects and you address them in your short proposal. Last but not least, we have also the quality and efficiency of the implementation. And here I would like to take that you also consider very carefully the fact that in all this call 10 proposal, we are going to create a public-private partnership. So therefore, you have to read very carefully the contribution that the industrial partner provide, and which are also identified in the topic text, and you write accordingly your proposal. Also very important is that you consider the management structure and procedure, and there you please read very carefully all the guidelines that are provided in the template. Also, we have some timelines that we need to keep, which is a maximum time to grants of 8 months. Therefore, there is a 5 months time limit for informing the applicant on the results of the scientific evaluation. And once they've been informed, there is a maximum of 3 months for the signature of the grant agreement. And to allow the maintaining this momentum, any new legal entity will be validated in parallel to this process.
For your information, this call, the 10th call of IMI2, will see the application of the new IMI2 Model Grant Agreement, the version 3, which has been recently revised following the revision of the more general H2020 Model Grant Agreement. This is to say that all the modifications included in the version 3 of the H2020 Model Grant Agreement are now included in this Model Grant Agreement IMI2, where relevant, and this will apply for this call. So all projects, all actions selected under this call will sign electronically, because then, as we said, we are moving to the H2020 tool. We sign the electronic grant agreement with the new provision. The IMI2 Model Grant Agreement, the annotated Model Grant Agreement, we are working on that, so hopefully soon it will be available. But for the time being, we suggest you can still consult the annotated Model Grant Agreement from H2020, because what concern beneficiary receiving funding, most of the provisions are the same, and as such, the annotation are the same. For those who are used to IMI1, please note that under IMI2, there is not anymore the managing entity. Therefore, the grant agreement is signed only between the coordinator and the IMIGU, while the other beneficiary will sign electronically accession form. The member of the pre-identified industry consortium, FP and associated partner, will participate in the given project as beneficiary not receiving funding under Article 9, which will exclude them from a certain number of provisions of the Model Grant Agreement. For instance, the fact, as I already mentioned, the financial reporting, but also they are excluded by the application of the audit from the Common Audit Support Service, etc., etc. It's important to stress that, and has been mentioned by Elisabetta in her slide, and that each topic of the IMI is being generated or been identified through a lengthy process of identification of commitment of the industry and the will to contribute to a specific topic. So each specific topic see a key contribution on behalf of the industrial partner, and as such, there is an expectation of this industrial partner at some point, among them, one representative to be in the driving seat together with the coordinator of each and every action selected. This is important, and is brought to the concept of scientific project leadership, which means that that next to the coordinator there will be normally an industrial representative which support the coordinator in the implementation of the action. It is mentioned in the call topic test. You will see there is a paragraph in relation to the governance, where one of the members of the pre-identified consortium will play the role of for a project leader until the full governance is agreed among the full consortium, so beneficiary receiving funding and beneficiary not receiving funding. Important here is to stress that because of the industrial co-leadership and the need for the strong coordination between beneficiary receiving funding and beneficiary not receiving funding, it's important that you are fully aware that there will be this expectation by the industrial partner, and therefore that this can be discussed during the preparation of the consortium agreement. As I said, the consortium agreement is a document which is it is concluded between the beneficiary, all the beneficiary receiving funding and not receiving funding, and this document will establish the governance, the liability, and the IP implication of your project. This is a document which should comply with the IMI2 modular agreement, so you cannot have conflicting provision. But as far as this thing is not in conflict, you are free to dispose of its content. IMI2G is not part of it, but we are always available if needed to step in if there is any discussion which cannot be accommodated directly by the beneficiaries. It has to be adapted to the specific need of each specific section, so there is not just one. The content is not always the same. However, for transparency, you must be aware that the FPA and its member has already drafted a template that can be of use of selected consortia in case they wish to use it. This template is an FPA document, is available on the FPA website. You see here the link. And probably this is important for you to familiarize with this document before starting the preparation of the full proposal, in case you are selected, in order to know what would be the baseline position of the industrial consortium in starting the negotiation for the preparation of the consortium agreement. Obviously, consortium may use alternative template in case they wish so.
Okay, I will just now conclude this presentation, try to provide you some tips for success that are based on experience from previous evaluation. So first of all, there are some common mistakes that we have seen repeated. The first, more drastic, is the one on admissibility eligibility criteria being not met. Clearly, if you miss the deadline, then of course you will not be able to submit a proposal for this call. Then it's very important that you read carefully the topic test, since if you submit a proposal that is not in scope, then of course this will be excluded. So please read carefully the topic text, and in case of doubt, please contact the program office for further information and guidance. There is all the action that will be funded are research innovation action. Therefore, a minimum of 3 legal entities have to be included in a proposal for this to be eligible. Then there are some common mistakes that will not exclude you from the evaluation, but that clearly will downgrade your possibility and your chances to be selected. First of all, if you make a proposal that does not address all objectives, this will be considered a shortcoming for your proposal by the evaluator. Secondly, please remember that you need to submit your proposal using the template. And we had in the past even received slides. Probably this is now less possible using the tool, but please remember that you need to submit the proposal in the templating and full in all sections. Then there might be some shortcoming, not in what you write, but actually in the consortium that you have mobilized. And so the applicants that form your consortium are not able to address all of the objectives, or they have redundancy between them. Also, this clearly will be seen as a shortcoming. And also, last but not least, a proposal is scientifically excellent, but will have limited impact. And this can be, as I explained before, a very important point for the final decision of the panel evaluator, in which will be the first round. At stage 1, you will not have to address the ethical issue, but of course, you have to keep in mind that these are very important and will have to be fully addressed at stage 2. And also, in any case, you should not include something that is ethical or not adequate in your short proposal. So, important tips. First of all, read carefully all the core relevant material that is provided on the website, on the participant portal. Be careful that there is information that is included in the topic text and information that is included in the general description of the topic. So please read carefully the whole document. Please also understand and respect the IMI2 rules, as been already explained by Fabrizio. There are some peculiarities of IMI2 that you should become familiar with from the very beginning. Consider also the public-private partnership dimension of each action that is created for IMI2. So, for example, also when you write the draft for the potential governance of your action, your stage 1 proposal, please bear in mind that this will have to be discussed and finalized at stage 2 together with the industry consortium. So therefore, it cannot be a too rigid structure that could make very difficult making this adaptation at stage 2. In doubt, always please send an email, phone us, and we will try as best as possible to answer any of your questions. Remember, in any case, that will be the reviewer that will read your short proposal, and will have to base on their decision and selection on the information that you put in the proposal. So read or put all the necessary information for the reviewer, read carefully all the evaluation criteria, and on the basis of that, try to include all the elements. Start to work early. We had, for this call, all the material has been available for a long time on our website, and try to not be a last moment submission, the one that you submit. And also be careful about the fact that you need to create your login, you obtain a PIC number. Don't wait until the last day to start the submission process, since if there is any technical problem, this could jeopardize your ability to submit in time. And there are also more tips that are available on our website. Here again, just to stress that the submission will be done via the participant portal, and you will be guided to it via either directly on the submission portal, or also if you start your navigation from the IMI website. And also, if you are looking for partner, and then you can also look at the partner search tools that there are a few available, and they are indicated on this page on the IMI website. More information can also be available, of course, on our website. You can sign on our new newsletters, follow us on Twitter, join our IMI LinkedIn group, or also email us at Infodesk. And here again, just for your convenience, you can see all the contacts that are available for you, general inquiries or IP queries. And also please remember there are some local contacts. You have some skilled people that know everything about IMI, and they are there just to help you, both at the IMI State Representative Group and also Horizon 2020 Health National Contact Points.
Thank you, Elisabetta, and thank you, Fabrizio. So now on to our questions and answer session. Let me remind you how to ask questions in GoToWebinar. You can ask a question in writing if you prefer by sending us the text via the question panel. In that case, we will read the question aloud for you, and we'll take them on a first-come, first-served basis. You can also ask a question in person if you prefer by directly talking to us. In order to do so, please use the raise hand button, and we will unmute you when your turn comes. So while we were finishing up with the presentations, we already received a few questions. The first one came in from Jacob Hart, and it's on budget. He would like to know whether the breakdown will have to be done per consortium partner already, or just on the full consortium basis.
No, the form, so the H2020 tool, the budget table is per participant, so you will have to identify the budget per participant. So not only the amount requested for the full application, but also you have to break down per participant.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Then moving on to another one from Grizan, asking if there are limitations to assign a certain percentage of money specifically to certain types of funding, like salary versus material or subcontracting, for example.
No, there is no limitation. The point is that you should, the allocation of the funding should be done according to the need of the project. So there is not a maximum. The question is, if you plan to a significant amount of subcontracting, that might be obviously questioned by the panel of evaluation.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Another question by Grit is if there are any implications based on the upcoming Brexit for UK-based applicants.
Not at the time, because as you may know, UK has not yet filed for the Brexit. So as of today, everything continues as it used to be before. So there is no particular precaution on the, or no particular condition for the participation of UK organization.
Thank you, Fabrizio. And this also answers Claudia Weinmann's question that was very similar to the one that we have just read out loud. Another one from Claudia Speiser on evaluation criteria. Do we have to include the budget justification in the proposal? If yes, how detailed the justification should be, and where should it be included?
I mean, you should mention what is the activity and the relevant budget needed for that. So I would say the budget requested must seem to be justified in relation to the proposed activities.
We should also consider two facts. So you have a table where you will have to put some numbers, and here you will have to identify the different a different activity and a different type of budget, especially with attention to subcontracting potential that can be included into your budget, but also in the proposal you will have to indicate roughly what could be the budget allocation, for example, for work packages, so that the evaluator could have an idea on how you distribute your budget. Also, if we look at specifically at the topic of call 10, we can see that there is in particular also one topic that indicates that there is two phases in your in the action, which is the topic 8, autism. And there it is very important that the applicant read very carefully what is written in the topic, since you need already to justify and your activity and attach budget for the two phases. And consider that there are two budgets that are allocated for the first phase and the second phase. So please, again, read very carefully the topic text, especially for this topic. While for the topic 3 on pain, please be careful that there is a maximum allocated IMI2 budget for each subtopic. So you should keep your short proposal in the limit for each subtopic, because this will be clearly, carefully evaluated by the panel.
Thank you, Elisabetta. We have now a question from Momchil Baev asking about patient participation in IMI projects. Momchil says, I would like to ask, how do you see the participation of patient organizations, which seem very underrepresented in IMI?
Well, you can read in each topic text is indicated if patient representation is requested. I must say that in most of the consortium, it is really recommended to have patient representative and patient themselves in some cases also included as active part of the consortium.
Thanks, Elisabetta. Now we have a question from Ninja Horin about the CFS. Excuse me. So perhaps, Fabrizio, could you please clarify on this point?
Yeah, the certificate of financial statement is required only at project end if if beneficiary receive more than 325K. So you don't have to submit a CFS every time you reach this amount, but only at the end if you went over this amount.
Thank you, Fabrizio. Now a question from Giuseppe Di Geronimo, who is referring to a presentation of Horizon 2020 given in Riyadh last November. Where it seems that for the specific topic on diabetes, it would be possible to involve partners coming from GCC and KSA in specific. That because of diabetes population could be interest in specific research actions. Perhaps, Giuseppe, if you don't mind, we could unmute you if you would like to clarify your question. In case we are able to answer. If not, we will refer you back to our colleague in charge of the diabetes projects. Just one moment, I will try and find you and see if I can unmute you.
Could you please repeat your question, in particular by spelling out the acronym that you used, so that we are clear that we understand each other?
Yes, is the Gulf country and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Because during the presentation of Horizon 2020 in Riyadh last November, your colleague from the other groups presented this program, this Horizon 2020, and it seems to be possible to involve partners from Saudi Arabia, because there is a lot of population that have the diabetes disease, and this means that there is a big amount of the population in order to experiment some research program and action. And I want to know if it's possible.
Well, I would like to say again, if you can scientifically justify that there is a need for involving the population to address the objective of the topic, and this cannot be addressed by equivalent European-based organization, then you might have a case. But clearly this will have to be assessed by the panel of evaluators. So it's very important that you try, if you intended to follow this path, that you very carefully formulated your proposal, trying to really make a very big and strong point on this aspect.
Okay. Okay.
Then I can be evaluated.
Okay. I think it's important to have two different issues. One issue is to have these organizations from these countries to participate. This is impossible. This might be indeed irrelevant, and they can participate in a proposal submitted by a broader consortium which includes specific activities there. The point is, if the organizations are eligible or not for funding. In principle, they are not eligible for funding, so they can participate without any funding from the EU, unless they think participation justified and is considered as essential, and in that case, they can not only participate, but also receive funding for the implementation of the action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe, for your question. And now we have another one from Daniela Onofri asking if it's possible to apply for more topic and for more subtopics. For example, she's referring to the case of topic 3.
Yes, applicants are welcome to apply for any topic or subtopic where they think to be able to contribute with a viable part of a viable consortium. The important thing is that for each topic, and in the case of topic 3, for each subtopic, you have to submit a separate proposal. So you cannot submit for a proposal that responds to more than one topic or more than one subtopic in topic 3. Okay? I hope that this is clear.
Thank you very much, Elisabetta and Fabrizio. Another question by Jacob on the participant profile section 4. Question reads, the proposal template indicates a max of 5 pages for this section. Is this flexible? As this very much depends on the amount of partners involved.
Since there is a limit, I mean, on the length of the proposal, we strongly recommend that you keep the 5 pages maximum for this section. Otherwise, you will then use too much space for this section, and you will not have enough space for the other important aspect of your proposal. So please try to do your best to keep on this time page limit.
Thank you, Elisabetta. Jacob, I hope this was enough to answer your question. And we have a follow-up question by Momchil Baev asking how many of the IMI projects that are approved have patient organizations in the consortium? And perhaps our colleague Magda from the scientific team can help us.
Yes, thank you for this very important question. So as of last year, we had 80% of projects where either patient groups or patients were represented either as partners or as participants to advisory groups or ethical advisory groups or something like this, or sometimes ad hoc. This data hasn't been updated with the latest projects which were approved last year. This analysis will be done just this month, and it will be published in our annual activity report. So the most up-to-date information will be published soon.
Thank you, Magda. So, Momchil, I hope this answers your question, and if you have any follow-up, please do not hesitate to let us know. We've come to the end of our questions, I think, for the moment, so if you have anything you would like to ask, I would like to encourage you to do it as soon as possible. Perhaps you can wait for a couple of minutes now. Okay, so we see no further questions coming in. We would like to thank you very much for participating, and thank you for all your help to Fabrizio, Elisabetta, and Magda. We wish you all the best in the possible applications you may send in. And just as we're about to close, another question comes in from Daniela asking, what is the success rate for the other calls?
Well, it depends. Depending on the topic, we might receive more or less number of short proposals. I must say that usually our topics are quite complex and quite specialized, and therefore, let's say that it is really rare that we get more than 20, 30 short proposals for each topic. But of course, the number can be much variable depending, I say, on the specialization of the area. It can be a niche area or can be a more broad area. So this depends.
Thanks, Elisabetta. Daniela, we hope this can help.
And yes, and we found only one, so one short proposal is selected from each topic. So that is important. Thank you.
Thanks, Elisabetta. So if this is the end to all the questions that came through today, I would like to remind you that for any further information you may need, you're more than welcome to contact us by writing an email to info-imi.europa.eu, or by simply picking up the phone and calling the program office. We will try and help you as much as we can. So the call is out now, and all the documents are out with all the specific deadlines. You will find them on the IMI website through a link to the IMI website front page. We hope that this webinar was useful. In case you know anyone else that may want to participate in a similar webinar, we would like to remind you also that we have a second one planned for this upcoming Friday. So in case any colleagues or any partners of yours may want to follow this webinar, it will be on again on Friday, the 13th of January at 2 p.m. And we thank you very much once again for following us today, and we wish you all the best for any possible applications you may send in. Thank you very much, and goodbye.